Alright folks, my name is Freyn and welcome to the Object 906. So I've got a few different clips for you today, showing different ways to play it. I think it's highly effective in all ways, probably a little too effective for its BR of 7.0. I know most people seem to think it should go up to 7.3, maybe 7.7, and I'm very tempted to agree with them. It certainly needs something changing on it. It is an absolute powerhouse that just outclasses everything else. Not sure if a BR change is the solution, because honestly it might perform even better in higher BR. In fact, for these clips I am driving it in a 7.7 lineup, so I have T-54s as backup vehicles, which should tell you something about it, because the T-54 itself is absolutely fantastic. So if I'm driving them as the backup, yeah, it gives you an idea. Anyhow, that's enough of that. For the first battle here, I am on Mozdok, and I'm playing it as a flanker and a scout. So, obviously you always want to be using your scouting whenever possible, regardless of how you play. Preferably use it better than that, where I didn't quite target it properly. You can see there's a Centurion over there. STRV, in fact, I hit his cannon barrel with that blind shot. So someone at least knows I'm out here, but I'm trying to stay stealthy. I'm pretty low profile, I'm pretty quick, so I can hide well. I'm just staying out on the flanks, going to make use of my absolutely amazing APHE round. It's high velocity, so it's good for sniping. And yeah, it's got great pen. It's honestly just an amazing round, and that's what makes this tank so good. You can see just completely obliterated the M103 there. And it comes with a 6-second auto loader for that gun as well, so you're going to be chucking out shells reliably, very quick. It won't get any faster with crew skills, but it also won't get any slower if you take damage. So yeah, it's really a very, very high-powered glass cannon. If you play it like an M18, you'll love it. But my scouting tool is finally back up, and I know there's something over there. There he is, we'll tag him. And I'm just staying over here because this is a relatively flat area, and one of the few downsides to the 906 is it doesn't have great gun depression. So I need this flat area. And I'm just going to sit and wait for targets to pop up. This Carnarvon still hasn't moved, so I'll take a shot in there, knock out his barrel. He's going to roll back. Yeah, he's out of my sight, so keep looking for more targets. There's something headed this way, so tag him up. It's a light tank, he's coming over to me. I'm not sure if anyone else will have a shot over here, but that scouting allows me to see him on the map for 30 seconds. There's no little chevron marker in front of me, but if I pay attention to the map I can see him, and hopefully someone else will see him too. Unfortunately I wasn't quite paying full attention here. I was sort of wondering where he'd gone, and then I saw this Vickers and got a little distracted. So first one shot into that, again one shot, one kill, the APHE, very powerful. And then I thought, well, where's he gone? And he's right behind me. But he didn't get my gunner, he only got one crew member, and it has no effect on my reload, so yeah, I'm gonna reload first pretty much every time. There's very little that you won't reload before with this tank. And just finish him off. It does have hull break now on the 906, which has balanced it a little bit. If something's firing heat, it will guaranteed die in one, but against an APDS or AP round, it's still so incredibly difficult to one-shot this if you don't hit it sort of straight down the middle. Again here, mark it up, shoot, and hull break that M42. Now this does eventually get a heat round of its own, with 300mm of penetration, but I haven't unlocked it yet. At least not during this game. So that's not going to come into play, and it's just all about the APHE round. Honestly, in all the games I've played, I think I've only fired 2 Heat FS rounds, and they were to take out a Yag Tiger that was hull down in the distance. Beyond that, I can't see myself really needing them. The main stock free round is just already super effective. Now, there's an STRV back there, just see him. So again, scout him up, just in case, and plant one into the back of his turret. He was already missing a few crew, but that's him finished off. And so this is one way to play the Object 906. You stay out on the flanks, you've got great mobility, both forwards and backwards, you've got a really low profile, you can scout, and you've got a good high velocity gun that allows you to make some long range shots quite easily. But that's this first clip pretty much wrapped up. There's one more kill occurs in this battle, but I don't think there's really any need to show it. It's basically just spawn camping at the end. So we'll move on to the second game. So here we are, Battle 2. This is Berlin, and it's an absolutely terrible layout where you are pretty much just going to end up either sitting trying to snipe out of the ruins, or you're going to get sniped back as you try and leave the spawn point. It's a terrible map design, and I don't know why it's still here, but it does allow me to show one of the lesser used features of the Object 906, which is that it's amphibious. So it's not terribly quick on the water, but I've jumped off the edge, come into the river, and I'm just tucking myself into this wall so that nobody will see me as I approach. And this is going to allow me to make some maneuvers that I couldn't do in other tanks. So you can already see something's been shot up there. There's a plume of smoke, and there's bound to be a lot of other enemies sitting in these ruins. It's how the map plays. Even on the normal version, there's always going to be enemies in these ruins. I'm just working my way around. There's my exit point, and I can just start tagging things. Got to use binoculars or scope to tag, so I can't see them exactly where they are, but it's close enough. And we can see there's a mouse up there, and I believe a leopard. Yep, leopard just died. I cut my engine for a moment. There's also a gepard. I'll just tag him, and that's the major threat right now. Hopefully he hasn't heard me. It's quite a quiet tank. Certainly not got a noise like the mouse. But there we go. APHE again, making quick work. And now for the mouse. Ideally I want to hit him under the turret. It's where the ammo is typically stored. Quite often give you a one shot. Not this time, unfortunately. Didn't kill any crew, didn't break the ammo. But there goes his transmission. And there is actually a tank in the background there, which I didn't notice at the time. Probably should have seen him and should have killed him first, but I was a bit focused on making sure I stay out of this mouse's gun. Not quite causing as much damage as I'd like. I've killed several mouse with this tank already, and normally shooting under the turret like that causes a lot more damage. But there we go, finally, his ammo's blown up. And I can just about see that leopard now. Finally noticed him. Again, gun depression, not quite one of the strong points of this tank, but it's alright, he hasn't noticed me. I'm just going to scoot around behind him and take him out. Now, unfortunately, I am reasonably close to their spawn. Not close enough that I think I've been marked up, but close enough that, yeah, they can get back to me quite quickly. So, drop some artillery and just try and get away from it a little bit. There's not too many places I can go, but that should have helped my team quite a bit. Give them a bit of freedom to maybe leave the spawn without being shot. Tag the mouse that's sitting on the A point. And just look and see if I can pick up any returning players. I would ideally like to leave here, but it's unlikely to go very well given my location. so I'm just going to stick to taking sniping shots where possible. I hope I can stay out of sight, really. Now, I'm unlikely to be penning that mouse from this distance. On the angle that I've got, it's not going to happen, and I don't have the heater vest around yet, otherwise, yeah, that would be the ideal choice for it. But there's the leopard reappearing. And again, that's pretty much it for this clip. Just, it's a good highlight of how useful some of the odd things about this tank can be, like that amphibious functionality. It's not something you really expect to come into play very often, but it can get you out of some awkward map situations and allow for some real flanking. So let's move on to the third clip now. This is European Province, the new stretched out version of Eastern Europe. And I'm going to head over sort of towards the B point. Not all the way there, but I will be around that sort of area trying to give a bit of fire support to both B and A. Now initially here on the start, it does give me a little more cover with this tree line, and I can scout some people on the way in. It's unlikely anyone will try and shoot at the targets, but it at least allows people to know exactly where they are, so they have a better chance of avoiding them. But nice early kill here when I see something rushing towards A very quickly. There he goes, little M22, so I stop, take a shot, and no rushing for your aircraft for you, so that unfortunately is one of the real frustrations I find in these higher tiers. There's always someone running around in a low tier tank just trying to get their little mean kill off, and it just makes it harder for the team to win. It's not really fair to other players, and honestly I would say just don't do it. We're almost in position now, getting quite close to the B point. I could swing in and take the cap, but I could see several players on my team are going that way already. You know how I feel about going onto a cap, especially in a squishy vehicle like this. They're obviously heading for it, so I'll leave it to them. And I'm going to just position myself in this forest and try and get some shots to both A and B. Now someone's now capping A, so throw some artillery in. Maybe not the best idea overall, it might make it a bit hard for me to shoot in, but it was my first reaction at the time. Artillery it. They'll likely be behind a building anyway, making it so I can't shoot them. But there's the track, I can just see it disappearing, so tag him up. I'll make sure that everyone else knows where he is. And yeah, there we go. The artillery blocking my vision, otherwise I would have had a shot there. It's my own fault, and I've stopped doing it a bit more lately. There's a second one driving in. He's already got the cap points, unfortunately, but we'll take him out. That's T95 down, and just try and look for that second target, really. I don't want to expose myself very far. Stay in these bushes, keep myself covered. As good as the tank is, it's still fragile. You are still capable of dying, especially with all these Magaks around. Most of them are going to be firing heat FS, and that will kill the 906 in one. Regardless of where they hit, you're going to hull break, you're going to go down. But we've got B, we're getting A. You can't see into the C point from here. That's the only real negative to this position, is that C point is up behind all those bushes. But yeah, you're rarely going to find a position that can cover 3 caps.
Enemy forces have captured a zone.
We only need 2 for victory. I kind of feel like maybe C and B are the easier pair to hold, but I've not really spent much time up at the C point, so I can't say for certain. This spot has worked out well for me, so just going to sit here, tag anything I can see. There's a T29 or 34 up on that hill. And just, yeah, give as much information to my teammates as I can until I find a new target. But we'll skip ahead until something happens again. You can see I've moved up. The team's taken C. We're pushing pretty hard at this stage. It's not really been the most difficult of battles, but I can see a few targets in the distance, and again this functions really well as a sniper. I've been a little more aggressive this game, taking a more forwards position instead of sort of sitting in the background or out on the severe flanks. But on larger maps like this, there's always going to be some sniping. Underranging my shots, but as long as I keep those enemies tagged up, they're unlikely to really capitalise on my failure. There goes the M103. And I can see this T92 just slipping in. Now he's behind a ridge. I'm not likely to get much of a shot on him there. So it's all just making sure that he doesn't get towards the cap. It's very unlikely. I've got teammates up there. But I want to make sure he doesn't get anywhere. There's another target. We'll mark him up. He's probably an easier shot. A bit further away though. And eventually I'll get there. I'll work out the range. It's not really a shot I've taken very often, is this? And that's what a lot of my longer range gameplay comes down to. It's just experience. I've taken the shots, you know, hundreds of times. I know the distances, at least to within a reasonable degree. This is where the Heat FS, of course, would come in handy. It would be able to hull break the M42 in one shot. Eventually, though, hit his breach, and that hull breaks him. And now it's time to turn attention to the A point. Just see the barrel sticking out from behind the windmill, so I know where they are. I'm not in the best of locations, sort of out in the open.
Enemy forces have captured a zone.
But again, I'm utilising the spotting as often as I can and getting some hopefully better hits than that with the APHE round. There's not much will survive this tank if you hit them on a decent angle. That is the end for another video. There were about 5 other clips I toyed around with using, including one that I really wanted to show but actually ended up with severe sound issues and can't use. We'll see about maybe using some of the other clips soon. They're varying quality, decent games, but not necessarily some of my best play. But yeah, enough stalling for time. That is the end of this one. I think that's a good length to leave it at. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Damn respawning chieftain! Ruined everything!